Hi guys, thanks for tuning into the channel again. I'm Liz. I'm a part-time reseller in Maryland, and today's video we are at Antique Depot, which is a really big and really cool antique shop in historic Ellicott City. Some of you may be familiar with historic Ellicott City because it was on the news in 2016 and again sadly in 2018. We had like historic floods, which have been a problem periodically for this town. It's super sad because there's so much history here and the buildings have suffered a lot of damage and there have been losses. However, Antique Depot fared relatively well compared to some of the businesses, and we're going to visit there today. Part of the reason we're going to do that is because there are some stories that involve the paranormal that I thought I might share with you while I walk you through a few of the antique booths here. So a little tiny bit of history, and I don't have all the details, but this particular building at one point was a hardware store, maybe relatively close to now, like not that many years ago, maybe like 50 years ago. And then at one point, I think it was like a hay and grain store. And I've noticed in the architecture that it really does remind me of that, because it has almost like what you would call a carport, but they probably pulled wagons in to pick up their hay and grain. It looks like it has like a hayloft kind of. So I wanted to give you a little history of the building and the town, because it could maybe have some impact on why there do seem to be some spirits here. Just because it has antiques doesn't necessarily mean it's haunted. Just like people say like cemeteries are haunted and funeral homes. I don't know if that's actually the case. But there have been some pretty traumatic and dramatic events in this town. So I do sometimes wonder if that might be why there's some energy lingering. So thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you inside in a few minutes for some interesting tales. Bye. It's very busy here in historic Ellicott City. I couldn't really get a good break in the traffic to show you this caboose. Today I have you guys down here because we are at Antique Depot, which is across from the old train depot. And I brought you guys here because I have a couple of antiques booths. This is actually a relatively well-known town because of the major floods that were here, which I mentioned, I believe, in the intro. And the water came up so high. I mean, if you look down towards that red light, it took down like a clock tower that was about as high as some of these lanterns. So I'm going to take you inside the shop because there's some really cool stuff. There are 4 floors of cool antiques in here, and there are some really cool stories, like I said, that I'm going to share with you. So I'll see you inside. Here's where we're going. This gray and brick colored building. Let's see if I can get the sign for you. Yeah. Let's go check out Antique Depot. So here we are headed up to the 2nd floor, and this is where we have had the majority of experiences, we being me and some of my dealer friends here at the depot. This is my friend Susan's booth, and she has sort of like a changing table here, and one day she was working on the other side of that and saw a child run by. She could see part of the child and looked for a parent and looked to find the child, because it's not a safe place for a child to be running around solo, and couldn't find a child anywhere or any adults. So wondered what was up with that, and heard from other dealers that they had seen something similar and mysterious. We call this aisle here Haunted Alley, because this is the area of this store on the 2nd floor where most people experience things. This corner here is where people tend to feel like they've been touched or their hair has been pulled gently. Some people have tripped over nothing, they've said. And this particular booth is one of my booths. I call it the haunted booth, not because it's creepy at all, but because most of my experiences have been around this corner. This is booth number 216A. Now, I do have toys and children's books in this booth. And one day I could see that there was a little boy sitting in this booth from down that haunted alley. I was actually standing near Susan's booth at the top of the stairs there. And I didn't want to walk right down haunted alley and startle the boy and his mother shopping, because maybe they might find something they like. So why would I disturb them? I went around the other way. There's another route around. And when I came around the bend, there was nobody there. I'd walked very quickly, and that whole haunted hallway or alley rattles and creaks when you walk. So they would have had to run to disappear like that. So it wasn't frightening, but it was very strange and mysterious. So that's why that's Haunted Alley. Also, one day Susan and I were sitting over in this area. There used to be a gossip bench there. I promise we weren't gossiping at all. And I saw a woman coming around the corner, near that corner where people feel a presence or feel touched. And I saw a woman coming out of the corner of my eye. And so I stopped gossiping because I thought that would be rude in front of a customer, and looked up to greet this person, and there wasn't anyone there. So again, not scary. Now this is my bigger booth. This is booth 210, and a couple of things have happened here. This is where I actually put my kind of more gothic and creepy type items. I love this booth. I just vibe with this space. But one day I felt like a presence, as if someone who was a stranger was standing way too close to me. But it wasn't exactly scary. It just felt really cloying and heavy. And it really felt like someone was in my personal space. And I've actually never had that experience before, although other people who have had unusual experiences do talk about that. Another time I was over here, and it sounded like a child was running up behind me and was gonna, like, I don't know, run into me or cover my eyes with their hands. They were stomping with increased rapidity, I guess. And so I ducked into the booth to see if they'd kind of pass right by, but then there was no one coming at all. Absolutely no one. So it wasn't that I thought I heard footsteps. It was, I definitely heard someone coming from this direction, but when I looked, there was absolutely no one there. And that hallway also rattles and creaks. So I was experiencing all the things you would if someone were actually coming. So nothing scary, but a lot of interesting things in this area. Plus lots of interesting items to check out. So my friend Stefan has a booth up this way. One day I was down near Susan's booth, and I heard someone moving around on the third floor. And I thought maybe it was Stefan, so I was really excited to say hi to him because he's a high energy person and super smart and fun to talk to. This is part of Stefan's booth he shares with a friend of his, Cindy. And I went up there to greet him. And this is a relatively small area, this third floor area, packed with goodies, obviously. And there was no one there at all. But I definitely heard someone walking around and moving items around. So again, like some people say, it's so scary that the place is haunted, but it's not actually scary. Nothing bad happened to you. There's no jump scare. It's just that there's definitely something going on, but then you don't get to see who it was, at least not for very long. So we're just checking out some of the goodies up here. He has a great eye and picks up a lot of mid-century items, and he has a great way of curating it with some more modern pieces as well. So I'm just kind of checking out his booth while I'm up here getting some footage for you guys. Oh, we're peeking at each other here. Hi. Yeah, this is downstairs. And when I'm down in this area, I haven't experienced as much on this level, but I was talking to someone who works at the depot, and I asked him if he'd ever experienced anything, and he said the only thing he's experienced is, he walks around and locks up the doors and turns off the lights at night, and sometimes in the morning lights would be on or things would be moved, and I asked him what he meant. And he said he would go up to the second floor, and there might be like a chair in the middle of the hallway that obviously wasn't there the night before when he did his rounds. And of course, the day he told me about this, I walked upstairs. I was the first person upstairs, and I walked upstairs, and what did I see? Sorry about that. But I see a chair in the middle of the hallway. And so it was interesting that was the story he shared with me. So yeah, this is my downstairs booth. I do have a lot of mid-century, like World War II type stuff down here. Some more traditional antiques as well. I've got this really beautiful, I believe they pronounce it a Hoosier cabinet, but I've heard it pronounced different ways. Reminds me of like a farmhouse type kitchen. So I'm just kind of showcasing some of the things that are in this booth down here. My husband was nice enough to help me put some new artwork in here too. It's hard to get way up high there. Yeah, so this booth is one of my newer ones and is still kind of forging its identity. Most of my booths are a little bit eclectic, but they are starting to get more defined personalities. Yeah, so thanks to Joe for helping me hang that stuff up. I'm not the bravest person on the ladder. So you're getting a sampling of some of the things you can find at the depot. I mean, and there are, I'm going to guess 50, at least 50. I know there used to be 75 different dealers in this building on Maryland Avenue in Old Ellicott City. So this is obviously a very small sampling of about, I would say about, I think it's actually probably 100 booths, but I'm not 100% sure about that actually. Okay guys, well, I really appreciate you coming on down to historic Ellicott City and visiting Antique Depot with me. It's always fun for me to make a trip down there. I'm sure you'd enjoy making a trip down there too. Please hit the like and subscribe button. It lets me know how to keep my viewers happy because I can find out what you like, but it also does help me grow the channel, which makes me happy. So thanks for doing that. I appreciate it. And you know, regardless of whether you're more curious about vintage finds or you're more curious about the paranormal, the important thing when you're interested in something is to never stop searching. So I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks again.